Rust is an open world adventure survival forced PvP game. Inside of this game, you're able to build, survive, take down other players, and hope that everything that you build is not stolen from you while you are offline. But what other game options do you have besides Rust to play if Rust is not up your alley? Today I'm sharing with you guys 10 to 15 games that you could play that are very similar to Rust. Maybe not every single way, but they're all similar and great options for you to play if you're looking for something new. Sons of the Forest. This one dropped in 2022, and you may remember the one that was the original called The Forest, which dropped back in 2014. That one was a very horror-oriented game. This one here a little bit more survival. Living inside of this open world, you need to do all that you can do to live. And although called Sons of the Forest, many of the scenes here have you washed up right on the beach. That may be where you begin, but you quickly find your way into the forest, into a vast, gorgeous world filled with terror and enemies that you're gonna need to survive against. Now, we talked about how the forced PvP inside of Rust is not in many of these other games, but they do have that open world element that brings adventure, fear, and the need for you to survive. And this one is pretty darn amazing. And next up is DayZ. If you take Rust and you put it inside of a post-apocalyptic zombie environment, you have DayZ. This is an even older game, one that has been around for quite some time, and one of the only other games that has a forced PvP element like Rust. Inside of this one, you're going to have to survive in that open world, as we mentioned before, and which is going to become a common theme amongst all of these games. But here you're going to encounter zombies instead of the other types of monsters. And again, when you log off in any of the servers that you're inside of, you are going to have to deal with people trying to raid you, loot you, steal everything that you have, and wake up to being a dead person. With this being said, this is one of the best and most similar games to Rust out there that you could play, and is still extremely popular today, so many years after the game originally released. Now, many of you have probably heard of Frostpunk. Many of the games on today's list are not brand new titles, but ones that have been around for quite a while that have active communities of gamers playing. Inside of Frostpunk, you are taking part in a very frost-ridden world, trying to survive and build out your environment. This is one I played quite a bit of back in the day, as did a group of friends of mine, and it was really an enjoyable experience to all play together. The graphics inside of this one are really nice, as you're living inside of this area that is really trying to bring power to everyone living in that environment. With that being said, it does have a different feel to the other titles on today's list, which could be a good thing for you, because maybe you're looking for something that's just a little bit different. Well, do you remember Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Well, let me introduce you to Grounded. Inside of this game, you are a tiny little person that has to survive in your backyard with a whole bunch of monsters that are actually real-life insects and other types of things that you might find in your backyard. Very cool game here. I love it just because of the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids element that I recall from being a child myself. With that being said, you have some realistic foes that you'll encounter inside of the game. The game offers a very much more kid-friendly element to it, so if you're looking for something that you could play with your children, this would be a great option, but it also still offers the things that you look for inside of a game that are gonna satisfy you as an adult trying to enjoy an open world survival style game. Terraria is of course another option that we have. This one much different though. It definitely has a different look and it has a different feel than Rust, or than many of the others that we mentioned here today. Much more of a platformer style game, but it does have that sandbox adventure mode that can allow you to build and play any different type of game modes that you want. It's a really great game with tons of replayability, but it's really off the beaten path of any Rust style survival game, but it is in the same genre, kinda. Introducing Rising World, a really nice environment that is lacking a little bit in the graphic department if you ask me, but does give you some nice environments that you could explore and participate in as you're inside of this open world. It's kind of a mixture of a Rust style and a Minecraft style game, much because of the pixelated graphics that I'm not too sure are really intentional or something that's just age showing its face. The weapons are a little bit basic, and the game is a little bit less intense than some of the others that you're going to see on the list here today, but it is an option for you to play if you want something that's a bit slower. Ever wonder what it feels like to be stranded on a deserted island with nothing but some basic rudimentary tools to create something for you to survive in, live in, so that you could actually become quite self-sustainable? Well, inside of this game, you're going to be able to be put inside of that environment and experience it firsthand. There's a lot of really fun elements that this game has to offer. It actually reminds me quite a bit of Valheim, and you're going to be doing a lot of creating of different types of machinery to get tasks done to be more efficient as you try to survive in this world. You're also going to encounter many different sea creatures that are going to make life difficult. Let me know if you like the forced PvP element inside of Rust, or if it's something you prefer to not have in the game, which is why maybe you're choosing some of these other games. And if you like Stranded Deep, you may like Raft, except for in Raft, you are living upon the ocean itself. You're not exactly meeting land and starting to create life on land, but instead you're building life on top of the ocean. Again, with many of those different ocean style creatures that you have to survive against, it's a different style game that's going to be less of a PvP experience, more of a PvE, and offers a lot of creativity options for you so that you could really get creative with your building. I like this one particularly because it keeps you in a very enclosed environment, allowing you to only live upon what you build itself. So really an exciting title that a lot of people like, and it's probably one of the more popular ones when we're talking about some open world crafting style water games. Now, Miscreated is going to take you into a post-apocalyptic, beautiful world where you have some modern day tools to work with. The issue is the world that you're living in has been destroyed and you're trying to survive with what's left. In addition to this, there are some creatures that have evolved into beasts that are going to make it difficult for you to do that surviving. Something that stands out to me with this game are the different types of weapons that you can use. I like the modern style weapons, that not everything that you use has to be crafted by you, but could instead be scavenged and found as you're rummaging through the remains of what's left over of Earth. Definitely a fun game, exciting for sure, and it will tickle your fancy when you're trying to get creative with your structures. Do you remember Ark Survival? Well, here we go. Ark Survival Evolved. If you love dinosaurs, prehistoric times, and this genre of game, well, this is the option for you right here, because you will be living inside of a world of prehistoric creatures. Except for inside of this one, everything has been evolved. As you could see, the monsters have mechanical elements to them, and it takes it to the next level, actually reminding me quite a bit of the old school game Turok, for any of you old school gamers that remember. This one's definitely fun and offers you a lot of what you're looking for in the open world survival type game, but it's going to bring in a very fantasy style prehistoric element, and that's the only game on the list here today that does that. Green Hell VR, virtual reality at its finest, offering you an interactive experience inside of this realm. If you're into VR, which many people are not, to be honest with you these days, this is another experience that you could have that does utilize that element of gaming technology. It's definitely your open world style that's going to make you feel more like you're actually part of the game, and that is its selling point. If you're not into that selling point, it's probably not the best option on today's list, but if you are a VR person, this is one you should try. No Man's Sky Echoes. If you're looking for something that is a spaced theme open world survival brutal style game that has a really great name with the term echoes inside of it, this is something that you should consider playing. Definitely has a cyberpunk feel. The colors that this game offers are probably the brightest of all that you've seen in today's list, and if you're looking for some high-tech weapons and things that you could zoom around the universe in, this is a game that's going to probably stand out for you on today's list. Definitely fun, definitely a massive world for you to explore, but does lack some of the things that Rust has, including the open world forced PvP. With that being said, you will find PvE people, or I should say creatures, that you'll be encountering, as well as other structures and other vehicles that you have to fight along the way as well. It kind of has a Star Wars feel to it, to be honest with you. 7 Days to Die. Yeah, this one's similar to Rust. This one's similar to DayZ, and maybe one of the most similar of the rest of them on today's list. If you're looking for something where you're in a world that's just completely beaten down, where you need to craft things from the start to the finish, and if you don't, well, you're not going to do so well in the world, well, then this is going to be a game that you should check out. You need to really prepare your actual existence inside of this one, because if you don't, you're going to be taken down by enemies in the game or by the real life people that you'll engage with inside of the game. It's brutal, it's gory, and it's great. And then we have The Forest, which is another similar one in the space. And we're starting to get a little bit of overlap in genre here. You're noticing that a lot of these games are beginning to look a little bit more similar, and some of them have their own little quirks that make it the game that it is. The Forest is really nice. It's less gory, less dark, more real life nature type things. And then when night comes, you run into some things that are a little bit less real life nature. Again, it's a great one for the genre. You'll run into some creepy things along the way, but you'll also have some beautiful elements to the game as well that you may enjoy as you spend hours and hours playing each day. And out of every game on today's list, this is the one I have spent the most time playing. I'm talking about Valheim. Valheim is a game that lives on small servers. 10 or less people can be on a server at a time. And what you're really doing here is creating, crafting, taking down world bosses, and really just not having to worry about being raided by any other people. There is no forced PvP inside of this game. It's soulfully created upon building amazing structures and working together with your crew, your friends, to create things that are even better as you explore different areas of this world. I guess I could say this is a little bit more of a casual style game that's going to allow you to not have to worry about what happens when you log off, and instead be able to spend your time enjoying the material that the game has to offer and has been presented to you while creating some of the most masterful bases in Valheim. If you enjoyed your stay, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on all of my videos giving you the best games that you should be playing.